So guys, I seem to have this issue where I'm tall enough to not look comfortably. I'm stretching to do that, and I always have to like squat down a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that, but like this is kind of annoying to have to do, to like look at the screen. So I'm gonna make a bar stool, and hopefully it turns out really good, and hopefully you guys, I don't have to sit there and like do the stupid squat thing. So what you guys are watching right now is the epoxy for the legs being vacuumed to the vacuum chamber. And the reason I want to do epoxy on the legs is to make the stool itself look like it's floating, which I thought it would be like a cool design, and it allows me to use the CNC to route out some stuff in the wood to make it look a little cooler. And the reason I want to build it is obviously so I don't have to stand there and like hunch over, because I know that's not really good for you to like be leaning over all weird, and it's not good for your back or your legs. So that's the main purpose why I want to make a stool itself. And I could have just bought a stool, but I figured I might as well make one, or at least attempt to make one. It turns out I do some stuff wrong and I do some stuff right in this video, which is okay. I mean, we all can't be perfect. I definitely could have spent more time planning the actual stool itself, so that way it would look a lot better or be a lot better. But you know, you can't always be perfect, I guess. So originally I was gonna tint this epoxy a color. I was gonna do a blue or black or red, one of the tinted colors I have for the epoxy. But I decided not to. Mostly because I wanted to make it look like it was floating, like I said before. And also, I think it would take away from the wood itself, because I am going to be using a pretty nice wood, I think. But now you guys are probably going to see me pour the epoxy. I definitely screw up here, though. Because on one of these edges, I had to do 2 pours, because there was a little crack, a little gap in the opening that I should have caulked. I was thinking about caulking it, but I didn't want to wait 20 minutes for the caulk to harden. So I said screw it, which I should have, because it would have saved me probably $20 worth of epoxy for $1 worth of caulk. But you know, you live and learn, I suppose. So yeah, this is me sitting here doing the second pour. I really wish I would have spent the 20 minutes to wait on the caulk to dry, because I had to wait 3 hours for the second coat of the epoxy, because you're supposed to wait 3 hours, and that way it gets like a good joint and all the bubbles get out of the first coat of epoxy. That way it looks pretty good. Turns out there's still bubbles in the epoxy because some of the sap I was using on that like pine board got into the epoxy and made a little bit of bubbles, which is fine. It's for me, so I really don't care. It doesn't have to be the most perfect thing in the world. So now what you're watching is me with a 2-inch surfacing bit surface the legs down. The reason you have to do this is because the epoxy gets uneven, as you can tell, and it's kind of hard to just throw this through the planer. One, epoxy isn't really the greatest thing to run through the planer, and two, this will get it extremely level. And the reason I went with like walnut, that's the wood that I used for this stool, was because we had some 5-corner walnut I was able to use, luckily. And it turned out really good. And I just like the color of a walnut, to be honest. You don't have to stain it. I mean, that's what everyone really makes stuff out of, like pine, and there's pretty good stains nowadays for really matching the walnut look. But I'd rather just use the actual hardwood itself. The main reason I want to use the actual hardwood itself is, one, hardwoods are a lot better for building furniture out of, just because they're a lot stiffer. It also makes working with them kind of more of a bitch, because it's so freaking, they're a lot harder than the softwoods. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are like some hard softwoods, which is really weird. Like pine's a hard softwood. It's like, that's why we build with it. It's because it grows really fast and it's really strong. But hardwoods just typically take a lot longer. That's why they tend to be more costly, because there's less trees, and less trees make the wood itself more valuable. And walnut is a nice craze that everyone loves to do. Now what you're watching is me cut out the parts for the footrest, the little bar that goes across where you like rest your feet on, and a skirt. I'm gonna put a skirt on the bottom of this bar stool, or this stool, not a bar stool. It's gonna be in front of a computer. But funny story is, I actually am kind of a little terrified of a table saw. At least running a table saw, as any normal person should be. This table saw in particular, I saw my dad cut his fingers off. He cut his like left hand, like top, like his pointer finger to his ring finger. It was pretty disgusting sight to see. It just looked like minced meat. Once he like went to the hospital, he's fine now, but just cleaning it was kind of disgusting. It just looked like potato salad. Just instead of being made out of like potato salad, it was just blood and gore. It was kind of disgusting to clean. So my biggest advice, if you want to get into woodworking or if you're on power tools, especially the ones that deal with cutting wood, is every one of these machines are hungry for your fingertips or your whole hand, depending on the machine, to be honest. And that's been pretty good advice. It's kind of scary to think that everything wants to eat your fingers off, but it's the reality of what I'm doing or what like I'm around on a day-to-day basis. But right now what I'm doing, I'm planing down the boards so that way there's like an 1/8 inch like reveal, like it's an offset from the side of the legs. That way it like pushes down. I think it will look good, at least. I think an 1/8 inch would have, I think I could have probably did a little bit more than just an eighth, but it turned out pretty good. I was actually kind of pleased with how it turned out. So what you see now is me sitting here looking at angles for the next, like, I probably looked at this stupid 5-degree angle about 10 different times, cutting it, trying to figure out what's right, what would look right, what would kind of be nice. And I ended up doing a 5-degree angle, I guess, or that's what I at least cut on everything. I think it turned out pretty good. I think I could have probably did a little bit more of like an angle, so that way it had more of like an A-frame. But I think it turned out pretty good for my first time making a stool. I don't really have that much experience building furniture. I mostly just build boxes and stuff or run the CNC. But this is my first kind of shot at building something for myself. And I figured I could, try to make myself something kind of nice. Or at least something I'd be like proud of to like show people. I'd make a whole bunch of mistakes though from here on out. I wanted originally to make this like a swivel top, like have the top swivel, which now I'm kind of happy it's not swiveling, but you'll find out I didn't make it a swivel top because I made the bearing on the below the seat was too big for the actual platform, and I didn't want to route into the wood. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it turned out really well, all in all. That's me putting a little spacer down, that little 1/8 inch spacer to try to do the face. I ended up pocket screwing the top, and I pocket screwed some of the leg bars, or like the bars going across for the foot pegs. And I would have done dominoes all the way around, but I accidentally screwed up and did two sides, dominoed two sides, and then tried to put these foot things across, which didn't turn out too well. But hopefully you guys enjoy just watching me build this little bar stool. And I'm probably just gonna throw up some music, and you guys can just kind of watch me build the rest of this. Some of the things I would change would probably be the not having the swivel. The swivel seat kind of sucks, but it's probably going to be a blessing because when I go to move the stool out of the way, I'm not going to pinch my fingers like grabbing the top of the the seat of the stool and like try to move it and it spin when I grab it. I kind of hate that on some stools. Another thing I would change would be to use the domino cutter more and not to glue and drill the top, like pocket through the top. I would probably dry fit everything next time and actually use a domino cutter. That way I could have it all in the same, like the foot pegs in the same plane, But other than that, I was actually kind of surprised that the stool itself actually like held to the ground pretty good and it wasn't like teetering at all, which was kind of lucky, I guess, for the first time me building a stool. But if you guys are thinking about getting a domino cutter, if you guys are doing woodworking, if you do a lot of joinery, I definitely get one if I were you guys. They're amazing. Another thing I'd probably change would be to not eyeball it so much. I definitely eyeballed the top, and that's why it's not a swivel chair. That's why I just screwed it. Ended up just being a solid chair, which I think will be a lot better now that I'm thinking about it in the long run. And another thing I'd change would be, you see that little piece of wood in the epoxy in the leg. Well, it's kind of too thick for me to sand out, so I just kind of left it, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. Another thing I'd probably change if I had to would be the camera angles, because I had to freaking get rid of probably like 20 minutes of recording because it was just not a good angle to watch. Other than that, the bar stool turned out really good. I was actually kind of impressed with how I did on the bar stool. And another thing is, you guys won't be able to see me do the other two parts of the foot peg because the camera did die, which kind of sucks. But I wasn't paying attention. I was just kind of in the mode. Just working on it. It was pretty late. It was like I got done at like 10:20. I got it all built at like 9:50ish. Sanded it probably for 30 minutes and then sprayed it and called it a day. But hopefully you guys like the end of like the end product. It turned out pretty good. I think it's good. It's good enough for me to set on. I really don't care. It's better than a 5-gallon bucket, That's how I kind of look at things. But hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and I'll catch you on some B-roll. Well, guys, there's my bar stool I made. It's pretty cool. It does its job really well. That's what it kind of looks like from afar. And hopefully you guys liked watching the video. If you did, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And I'll probably just shut up in the next couple seconds and do some B-roll.